Hey everybody, it's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on September 4, 2025. Actually, this was supposed to be recorded on September 3, 2025, but the psycho Satanist control freaks here in Jackson County, Kentucky, they like using their weapons to put me to sleep with radio frequencies right before I'm going to do something important. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well, and I'm going to read something that I received a couple of days ago, and I've been saving it. It is a downloadable ebook. It's a short book that will explain the atrocity that it's happening. It's called The Program. Civilians in the United States are covertly being targeted with directed energy, and they do not have privacy to their thoughts. This short book will explain the atrocity that's happening, and you can download the book. I do not post links in my descriptions unless they're to YouTube or unless it's critically important, because it's like a flag. So anybody that wants this, I'm going to show you what the URL is. I'll read it also. It's called crisisunseen.com, the program. crisisunseen.com, the program. Targeting Civilians with Directed Energy by Sami Dia, S-A-M-I Dia, D-I-A. Introduction. And I don't know how much of it I'll be able to read. It is late, and I do want to shower and get to sleep. So, we'll see how far this goes here. There are. Let me just read you the table of contents here. There's the introduction, which is what I'm going to read. Directed energy and nanotechnology, which I will read. Targeted individuals, remote neural monitoring. Cognitive dysfunction. Artificial sensory experiences. Number 7 is artificial psychological and physiological states. Number 8 is psychological manipulations. Number 9 is a deceptive cause and effect. Number 10 is more program containment. 11 is navigating the landscape, and next steps, and then there's references. So I'm going to read the introduction here. And if for some reason I am stumbling, it's because the criminals, when they knock me out, I don't know exactly what they're doing to me, but I'll tell you that when I came to, my right arm and left leg were completely numb. Civilians in the United States and other countries are being targeted with technology that sabotages, subjugates, and neutralizes them. It's capable of covertly and remotely monitoring thoughts, altering emotions, and controlling the mind and body of an unaware target. It has global reach, and once it locks on the target, there's no known way to prevent the effects from reaching them. This technology is being used by NATO-aligned international deep state on both aware and unaware civilians, and it's actively being contained from the public's knowledge. So they're actively trying to conceal it, which is why we're gaslit everywhere, which is why nobody's winning any lawsuit about the energy weapons. They're pretending that it doesn't exist. They're pretending that we're not being experimented on. So this technology utilizes what's known as electromagnetic, or EM waves. EM waves are what's used for radio towers, cell towers, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and radar. For example, a 5G cell tower directs EM waves towards cellular phones, and the phones convert these EM waves into data. What's less known is that EM waves can also interact with human biology in unique ways. For example, EM waves can be focused as directed energy, and by pulsing it directly at a specific area of the brain, and it can make the target perceive the desired speech. There's a big cover-up about the vast capabilities of directed energy and that it's being used on civilians. Reports from thousands of victims have revealed at least 5 categories of these capabilities. Number 1, remote neural monitoring, surveilling the target's thoughts, emotions, senses such as mental imagery, verbal thoughts, and what the target is seeing. Number 2, physiological manipulations, forced and precise control of the target's body, such as moving limbs, forcing the target to speak specific words, and directly controlling organ functions. Number 3, cognitive dysfunction, selective impairments of various functions of cognition, such as memory and decision making, which can be done intermittently or remain for longer periods of time. 4, artificial, psychological, and physiological states, altering mental and physical states, such as inducing emotions, mood, stress, and altered consciousness. Lastly, artificial sensory experiences, inducing the target to perceive sensory experiences such as speech, pain, and visual imagery. These effects are being induced remotely to civilians without a device on the target's body and without distance or barriers to block their efforts. Most of the victims to overtly and continuously experience these effects are what is known as targeted individuals, or TIs. TIs are individuals whom the deep state has subjected to remote and covert systemic neutralization with directed energy, DE, and remote neural monitoring, RNM, which might also involve non-consensual experimentation, like what's happening to me here in Jackson County, Kentucky, and what is also happening to my animals. This is done to TIs as part of a black program. TIs are overtly targeted in such a way to know these weapons' existence and capabilities, while other civilians are being covertly targeted. TIs are being systemically thwarted from adequately influencing others about this technology that they are subjected to. In addition to the non-consensual experimentation on unwilling citizens, this technology is also being used to non-lethally, which is an oxymoron, neutralize civilians. Whistleblowers, such as the former NSA Technical Director William Binney and former security industry specialist Bryan Kofron, have become TIs themselves after whistleblowing activities. These technologies are being used against similar targets of interest to suppress undesirable influencers, quell dissent, and enforce social conformity. Imagine how boring society would be if everybody conformed. Oh my goodness. By learning from the experiences of TIs and whistleblowers, the general public can become aware of this technology that is currently deployed against them. What's written in this book is actively being experienced by TIs in the United States and around the world. Heading: Directed Energy and Nanotechnology. Electromagnetic, or EM, waves are energy waves, often invisible, that can travel through space like ripples on a pond. These waves can vary in size from long too short. They move at a speed of light, don't need a medium like air or water to travel through, and can travel far and through objects. EM waves are what's used for radio towers, cell towers, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and radar, for example. 5G cell tower directs EM waves towards cellular phones, and the phones then convert these EM waves into data such as calls, texts, and videos. EM waves emitted from a source vary in dispersion from more spread out, for example, radio towers and 3G cell towers, to more focused beams like satellites and 5G cell towers. EM waves can also manipulate the biological and neurological functions of humans, causing various effects. Neurons in the brain and body naturally communicate through electrical signals. For example, to move a finger, the brain sends an electrical signal down the spinal cord and through the nerves in the arm and hands. At the point where neurons connect, the electrical signals trigger the release of neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that keep the signal going. The neurotransmitter handoff at the end, where the nerve meets the muscle, prompts muscle contraction, causing the finger to move. These electrical signs can be remotely evoked using EMF waves and remotely recorded using equipment. Two important qualities of the weapons deployed against the public are that they are quote unquote remote and covert. Remote meaning the ability to operate and affect a target from a distance without requiring a direct presence at the site. They are also covert, meaning these attacks are carried out in a way that hides the identity of the operators. The fact that a weapon is being used, or even that an attack is occurring at all, although all of you targets out there, you know when you're being attacked. You can detect what direction it's coming from. But we want to know the identity of the operators. You know, those little weenies that hide out in mommy's basement. Little incels. They have a problem because all they're doing is watching you and jerking off. That's what they do, yeah. That's what they're doing. Because they're so excited to be targeting you guys. And me. Because they're sadistic. They're voyeurs. And targeted individuals of sexual paraphilias. Or also satanic rituals. Findings on the use of EM waves to remotely induce biological effects have a very long history. In 1974, researchers Joseph Sharp and Mark Grove in the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research were able to remotely transmit audible words directly into a person's perception. This finding was published in 1975 by neuropsychologist Dr. Don Justesen, Justesen, who wrote, Sharp and Grove found that appropriate modulation of microwave energy, a type of EM wave, can result in direct wireless and receiverless communication of speech. By radiating themselves with these voice-modulated microwaves, Sharp and Grove were readily able to hear, identify, and distinguish among the 9 words. During the CIA black operations of MKUltra, EM waves became the focus of Subproject 119, which aimed at uncovering their potential for remotely controlling a human mind. MKUltra is widely known for attempting to mind control with methods such as LSD, and this sub-project pursued a similar goal using EM waves instead. One of the focuses of Subproject 119 was techniques of activation of the human organism by remote electronic means. According to declassified documents, the CIA had accumulated some research in the form of books by the end of this sub-project. Although the CIA did not achieve building such a device under Subproject 119, they had the intention, dating back to August 17, 1960. There are at least 2 other MKUltra subprojects, number 62 and 94, where the results led to the CIA noting interest in further research into EM waves for mind control. In 1973, 8 years after the end of Subproject 119, a letter was exchanged between the CIA official and Robert P. Gao, the president of a high-tech manufacturing company. And in the letter, Gao stated the following regarding the recording of electrical activity emitted from a subject's brain using electrodes. He said, "The real possibility that at some point in the future, external measurements can be correlated with some degree of accuracy with simple thought processes in humans." Gao also wrote, quote, "This represents a potentially significant step forward which, while it's a very long way from thought reading, it could eventually lead to great improved understanding of the overall processing mechanisms involved." These statements imply that the CIA was interested in mind-reading technologies. Gao mentions ongoing discussion with Dr. Ross Addy, who was one of the 2 researchers in MKUltra Subproject 119 mentioned earlier. From 1980 to 83, an American scientist named Dr. Eldon Byrd, B-Y-R-D, led the U.S. Marine Corps non-lethal electromagnetic weapons project. He was looking at electrical activity in the brain and how to influence it, meaning manipulate. Dr. Byrd conducted experiments on animals and even on himself to see if brain waves would synchronize with external EM waves affecting them. He found that they would, but the effects were short-lived. By using EM waves, Dr. Byrd found he could induce the brain to release behavior-regulating chemicals. He stated, "We could put animals into a stupor, and we got chick brains in vitro to dump 80% of the natural opioids in their brains." Is this sick? This is like mad scientist sick stuff. I just lost my place. He even ran a small project that used magnetic fields, a component of EM waves, to cause certain brain cells in rats to release histamine. In humans, this would cause instant flu-like symptoms and produce nausea. The effects were non-lethal and reversible, he explained. You could disable a person temporarily. It would have been like a stun gun. Dr. Eldon Bird also demonstrated that what's known as scalars were even more profound and effective at interacting with biological systems compared with EM waves. To put it simply, this is because EM waves depend on broad neural excitation and cannot directly interact with the inner workings of neurons, while scalars can do so. Dr. Bird demonstrated this by using scalars to modulate the uptake of neurotransmitters of nerve cells by directly affecting the molecules within the neuron that are responsible for it. And he says, we showed that in imaginary time and space, in hyperspace, electromagnetics results in solutions that only quantum events can occur in small neurons in your brain, and that phase conjugate fields, which create scalars, can cause profound effects in living systems. At this time, I thought that the shutdown of the project, which is stupid on part of the government. This is what Dr. Eldon Bird says. Evidently, he's another one of those psycho-Satanists. And these are very sick people. Dr. Bird never tested any of his hardware in the field, and his program, scheduled for 4 years, was shut down after 2. The work was really outstanding, he grumbled. We would have had a weapon in 1 year. Dr. Bird was told that his work would be unclassified unless it works. Because it worked, he suspected that the project went dark, quote unquote. He enlisted the help of the U.S. Senator Claiborne Pell to investigate his suspicions, and sometime after 1 year, Pell confirmed to Dr. Bird that while he could not disclose the details, the project did in fact, quote unquote, go dark. In a 2001 speech a year before his death, Dr. Bird states, today, we know there are technologies that can induce a sound into the brain at a distance, can monitor and alter brain waves at a distance, and can alter behavior at a distance, that can induce images into the brain at a distance, that can target individual organs at a distance and disrupt calcium ions binding on the cell, individual cell surfaces at a distance, creating pain and other effects anywhere in the body, and technologies that have moved beyond the realm of electromagnetics into the realm of hyperspace and scalars and into the quantum realm. We have demonstrated the ability of electric and magnetic fields to alter DNA. This is 2001. Alter DNA and control bioelectric and biochemical processes in living systems. In other words, the technology to affect the mind control exists without question. And when we talk about living systems, animals, plants, trees, insects, humans, right? And then in 1992, a former NSA employee named John Ackwei, A-K-W-E-I, filed a lawsuit against the NSA. I'm hearing about this for the first time. He claimed that the NSA is conducting extensive and covert surveillance of U.S. citizens using advanced technologies to monitor and influence human thought. He reported that the agency is employing remote neural monitoring to track brainwave frequencies and interpret them as thoughts, memories, and images, all done remotely and without the target's knowledge. Ackwei also stated that the NSA is using psychotronic weapons that utilize EM waves on American citizens. However, the lawsuit was dismissed in court, stating that his claims were not substantiated with hard evidence. Well, that doesn't that sound like another gaslighting technique? Hard evidence, like what kind of hard evidence does one need? I don't know. Based on the report of TIs, the directed energy technology currently deployed against civilians is developed far beyond capabilities, effectiveness, and robustness of known patents and scientific research. These weapons are staying locked onto targets anywhere globally, maintaining their effectiveness with no success of detaching from it. The effects of these weapons are reaching targets submerged more than 8 feet underwater and buried deep inside mines, with some targets beneath as much as 960 meters of overburden, with no success of shielding from their effects. This is not possible for ordinary EM waves that can be used for precision targeting. For such reasons, it's believed that at least some of the directed energy used for targeting are not made of EM waves, but a type of wave that is ahead of the general public's understanding, known as scalar waves. Scalar waves are the propagating, moving version of scalars that Dr. Bird experimented with. Oh yeah, so they shut down his program so that they could steal it, and that's pretty much what usually happens. You know, they stole his intellectual property. That's why it went dark. They were stealing it. The term directed energy is used to include both cases of EM wave and scalar wave involvement, while also describing the focused transmission of the energy. Reports from many whistleblowers about this technology are pointing to satellite and cell tower involvement. Dr. Paul Batcho, B-A-T-C-H-O, a former DARPA senior scientist, found through his research that cell towers are being used against U.S. citizens. In 2016, following his findings, Dr. Batcho attempted to notify the U.S. Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security multiple times, but received no response. He wrote in one of his emails, "I seem to have stumbled across an advanced technology that I would classify as synthetic telepathy. It clearly uses the cellular towers to transmit illegal signals. It sounds unbelievable, but it's actual technology being used on civilians of the United States." Some medical doctors, such as Dr. David Nixon, Dr. Len Baer, and Dr. Anna Maria Michalcia, have found evidence of nanotechnology in the blood of TIs and other civilians. Dr. Michalcia has raised awareness about self-assembling nanotechnology that she has found in the blood of U.S. citizens through live blood analysis at her clinic. In 2024, she published a video showing nanoscale spheres in blood that self-replicate. These spheres are filled with she identifies as nanorobots. Over time, the spheres and the nanorobots within them grow. Then these nanobot-containing spheres migrate towards a main structure where they release their contents to facilitate its growth. This is for educational purposes only. This is a research that was performed by a doctor. This process was found to lead to oxidative stress in the blood, deforming the blood cells and disruption of their normal function. Dr. Michalcia also reported that EM fields played a role in enabling energy extraction and facilitating intercommunication among the micro and nanobots for the structural assembly. This form of nanotechnology that Dr. Mihalcea has found in human blood was made of PEG-based hydrogels, which contain nanobots of graphene oxide, titanium, and yttrium. I've never heard this word before. Yttrium. She said these hydrogels are the substrate of a brain-computer interface. That's a BCI. And the primary method of fusing humans with machines. Dr. Mihalcea references an MIT article titled Hydrogel Interface for Merging Humans and Machines. So this is obviously a peer-reviewed MIT article titled Hydrogel Interface for Merging Humans and Machines. Then, of course, there's Dr. Hildegard Stanager, a world-renowned toxicologist, researched a less advanced phenomenon of nanotechnology in civilians than Dr. Mihalcea, known as the Morgellons phenomenon. Dr. Stanager had such samples viewed by a world-renowned parapsychologist, parasitologist, who confirmed that they contained advanced nanotechnology and not parasites. Not parasites. And I just accidentally scrolled up. 1 second. One second. Okay. Nanotechnology may also play a role in reading from and writing to the brains of TI's targeted individuals. Some of the DE effects occurring require higher spatial resolution and precision, and nanotechnology might be used to support these capabilities. Now the next heading is targeted individuals, which I will read at another time. This would be chapter 3. We're a half an hour into this, and I'm going to end here. This is taken, I'm reading from the website crisisunseen.com, the program. We're talking about the program. So let me just show you here what it looks like. So I read the introduction, and I read directed energy and nanotechnology. So here's the table of contents. And here we go. Here, so you can download it. If you go to crisisunseen.com/the-program/ you can download this yourself. And some of the headings at the top, there's home, targeted individuals, deaths, the program, and take action. So what I've been reading is the program. So I'm going to sign off for now. If you have any questions and comments, leave them down below, and feel free to share this information. So I'm going to label this as part 1, Crisis Unseen, the program. Signing off for now.